Hey everyone, welcome back to M&M IELTS. This is Manmohit. Now guys, in today's video, I am going to share with you all one of the cue cards from your IELTS speaking module. The first part of it, not the follow-up questions. That would be another video after that. So I would be giving you the questions that now this is an exam question. It has been tested multiple times. And then I would be giving you a sample answer as well as to how now, not just giving you the sample answer, but also giving you a bit of an understanding and explanation behind it as to why are we using these sentences and why are we including these sentences and why that's important, what things to avoid, all those kind of things. So what I'll do is I'll share the question right now in front of your screen. Have a look at the question. If you want to practice with me, you can pause the video at any point, look at the question, read the question, and try to answer it by yourself. And then you can just resume the video and just keep watching throughout to see what answers I am giving and why am I giving those answers. Right. So this is the question that, let's say you get a cue card in the exam, you would be given a minute to prepare and then you would be given 2 to 3 minutes to speak out your answer. The question followed by sub topics or sub questions, which I would be sharing in a second. The question is, describe one of your family members you spend the most amount of time with. And then the follow-up questions would be these 4 questions that they have given us, which clearly means that one way or another, even if we speak for only 2 minutes, we have to cover up all the 4 questions. Sequence does not matter, but as long as we have covered all the 4 questions, that's the only way we can aim for getting a full band score. Doesn't matter how good of an English speaker you are, doesn't matter how good command you have over the English language. If you miss any of these questions, you cannot get a full band score because you did not answer everything that they asked for. So, a time that one of the family members you spend the most time with, and then who is he or she? Now, whenever they say family member, what comes in your mind? Your parents, your brother, sister, your siblings, all those people. So, that's why they're asking who is he or she. Could be your father, it could be your mother, could be your brother, could be your sister, could be your cousins, anyone from your family. Then, what do you usually do together? What kind of person he or she is, and why do you spend most of the time with him or her? So we have to give answers and reasoning behind these 4 questions. So what I obviously do is, when you get that 1 minute to prepare for this cue card in the exam, this is the time when you should not just be thinking of your answer, but you should actually be taking down bullet points. Because if you do not take bullet points at that particular time, what's going to happen is when you actually start speaking your answer, there's a high chance that you will miss 1 or 2 questions out of it, because you can't keep 4 separate questions and that content for 4 separate questions in your mind all at once. You have to have something in writing in front of you just so that you can refer to that each bullet point that you have written, and then you can speak based on that. Now, at this point, you can pretty much just pause the video if you want. Try to think of the bullet points, try to think of the content that you can speak for this one. And after this, what I'll do is I'll speak out the answer and I'll share the answer that I've written as well for this one in order to get a full band score basically. Now, the first one is, who is he or she? Very straightforward. But just before I proceed, if you look at the question again, describe one of the family members you spend the most time with. Now, this is what separates, I would say, a 6 band speaker from an 8 or a 9 band speaker basically. If you were just aiming for 5 or 6 bands, or if you were not aiming for a higher band score, I would just start with the question, who is he or she? The person I spend the most time with is my father. The person who I like spending the most amount of time is my mother. Or you can just say, who is he or she? He is my father. Or that person is my mother. Like, just starting with that question itself. But just to impress the examiner even more and provide a bit more depth, a bit more information about your content, I would not just start with the questions right away. I'll give a bit of a starting introduction sentence that we can support and relate that particular sentence with whatever we are going to speak in the rest of the questions. So this is what I've done in this one. I'm usually a very reserved person, and it takes a lot of time for me to become familiar with strangers. However, I'm very close to my family and love spending time with them. Now, the moment you start your answer with something like this, now that's not what they asked in the question, but then when you start your answer with this introduction paragraph, the examiner automatically knows, okay, this person is not playing over here, this person is serious and is here to get his marks, his or her marks. This has nothing to do with the paragraph, it is related, but it is not answer to one of the questions, but it is putting a great start to my answer. Next, what I'll do is obviously now I'll jump towards my questions as well, because we don't have enough time in the exam to cover up everything. We only get 2 minutes or 3 minutes to speak out our answer. So this is what I would start with, and then I'll say, I like spending time with everyone in my family, but the person I love spending time with the most is my brother. So you've given a very reasonable answer that I like spending time with everyone, but it's my brother who I love the most, spending time the most. Then he's 2 years older than me, but he's like my best friend, and there are many reasons for that. Firstly, he looks like me and has the same personality as me too, so we both like spending time with each other. So it's not just a one way love. It's not that I only like spending time with my brother, it's that my brother also likes spending time with me. So it's a mutual relationship, mutual love towards each other. Next, now this is the answer to the question where they're like, what do you like to do the most? The previous paragraph that I shared, he's 2 years older than me, he looks like me, same personality as me. This would be the answer to the third question, what kind of person he or she is. Now, if you have already seen, I have skipped the question number 2. So what I did, I answered the question number 1, I answered the question number 3, and now I am going to answer the question number 2. So I'm not maintaining the sequence, but that is not what examiner wants from you. Examiner do not care about the sequence. They just want to have all their boxes ticked as to have you covered up every single question or not. Because if you miss anything, that's very loose marks. Sequence does not matter. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer the question number 3, which is, what do you usually do together? Let's say this one. So this is what we usually do together. We usually watch movies every day, play video games, visit different places together, and explore different cuisines. We also have a dog. So every morning we both go out for a walk with our dog and chat about different things, which range from our childhood to even the things that are happening in today's world. Now, if you see what I'm doing right now, I'm using my hand gestures. Plus, I'm using intonations and rhythms in my speech. When you speak to an examiner in your exam, you should not be sounding like a robot. Because if an examiner feels that you're sounding like a robot and you sound very monotonous, the examiner is, even if they want to with your English language, they're not going to give you a great band score. They cannot give you a full band score because in order to get a perfect 9 on 9 in your IELTS speaking, you have to make sure you not sound like a robot. You actually sound like a human. And human beings do not just sound monotonous, they sound excited. They have got that anger. They've got different feelings that they can feel when they speak. So that is what we are trying to do in this speaking task as well. When I said that first sentence, we usually watch movies every day, I could have just said, we usually watch movies every day, versus we usually watch movies every day. So giving that rhythm in your voice is very important. Play video games, visit different places together, and explore different cuisines. We also have a dog. So every morning we both go out for a walk with our dog and chat about different things, which can range from our childhood to even the things that are happening in today's world. So I'm trying to relate that. It can either be from the childhood stuff, we can talk and share about that, or we can even just talk about what's happening in today's world. So it can range from anything literally. So I've answered 3 questions. If you go back to the questions, my last question was, why do you spend most of the time with him or her? Reason as to why I spend the time with my brother and why not with other members of the family. So this is what I would be answering in my last paragraph. I think the reason I like spending time with him is that there is no judgment whatsoever, and we can be completely open with each other about everything. We both are introverts, so that makes us both similar in nature, and hence it is easy for us to relate to things. So if you see, when I read out the second sentence, I read it out in a bit different manner. I would say smirked. I slightly smiled when I spoke out the second line, because just to add a bit more flair in my speaking. I could have just said we both are introverts, so that makes us both similar in nature. That would just sound very robotic and monotonous. So what I would do is, we both are introverts. Like, just having a bit of a smile in your speech when you speak it out, because these things matter. Examiner is sitting there in front of you not just to test your English language. Yes, that's one of the major component, but also to see how comfortable are you with speaking English in day-to-day life. That's very important. Yes, vocabulary words are important as well, are crucial. You can memorize them, you can speak them, but if you do not have that flair, that added layers of speaking, that added rhythm and intonations, that is what separates you from getting a 5 or a 6 band or getting 8 or a 9 band. So that's the difference. I'm not saying anything wrong with 5 or 6 bands. If your requirement is 5 or 6 bands, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to do any of this extra stuff. But if you are someone who's aiming to get more points, wants to get 8 bands or 9 bands, that is something extra that we have to do. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, anything like that, any queries, you feel free to put them down in the comment section below, and me and Mohit can reply to you all as quickly as possible. If you're struggling in any topics, let's say, and if you want us to make videos on those topics on a priority basis, we can even prioritize them as compared to the schedule that we have got planned. So you can just post some video ideas as well in the comment section, and we can create videos based on those topics too. I wish you all the best if you have got your exams coming soon. Stay safe, take care, and I will see you all in the next one.